All right, everyone. It is approximately 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm gonna do another another reaction video. Okay, this is actually a Tippit tour that Lone Nutter and my friend Bill Brown did in 2009, in the summer of 2019, when a bunch of us JFK Facebook researchers met up in Dallas. Well, uh, they all came in because I, of course, live here in Dallas. But this was actually I was actually at work when when he did this tour for them, and I joined them later for dinner. But and I've seen this before, but I just wanted to do a reaction video because why not? So I think this is going to be my fourth potential Bill Brown fact check. But the tour that he did in 2020, when the year after this, was actually very good. It's also on YouTube, and I agree. And that one I was there for, and I agree with that tour. I agree with I think probably 95% of everything he said. Probably because it was very fair and balanced. Probably because I was there, and so he knew that he could get away with saying Oswald this and Oswald that. So, but this was his first TIPPIT tour that he did for the group. The year before, as I said, in the summer of 2019. As I said, I was not here for this, so we're going to watch it. And again, I've seen this before, but let's just do a reaction video, because why the heck not, okay? And the audio, and by the way, this is on Scott Maudsley's channel, YouTube channel. He was filming on his GoPro. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Let's just go for it. And the audio is probably is a little bad because it's outside, so just you probably want to listen with headphones. Just
record it. GoPro. I'll wave this car through.
So if you come out here, so basically, and I don't know if you guys can see it from on the sidewalk, but if you come out here, on the other side of Denver, and on the left-hand side, Jimmy Burt and Bill Smith were out in the front yard, okay? They gave statements that said that they saw the man walking this way. And
did he say Jimmy Burt and Bill Smith were in the front yard? No, they were on the front porch. They weren't in the front yard, they were on the front porch. Gosh, okay. That's 30 seconds in, okay.
This is how the police car pulled over and was talking to the man.
Again, it's very hard to hear, so I can hear because my laptop is right in my face, but if you have headphones, go listen to it that way. Listen to this that way.
Hear the shots, they looked back up the street, and they saw the police officer laying on the road. This car.
Car!
Well, that's funny. Like they're playing street hockey car, and you gotta move it.
Game on.
It's actually important to mention Jimmy Burt and Bill Smith. So that's what they saw. So they start heading this way. Now, obviously, Domingo Benavides was driving his pickup truck because he's heading back to Deuce Motors to pick up a party. So when he gets within about 15 feet, he noticed the police car pulled over. He noticed the guy who was talking to the police officer. He hears the shot. He took his eyes back off of them, continued driving. Hears the shots, scared him, and he pulls over to the right, and then he ducks down. And he's ducked down for a while. In the meantime, Jimmy Burt and Bill Smith are just leaving the yard, start heading this way. So Benavides looks back up just in time to see the back of the killer's head turn the corner, all right? So we continue on over here.
So he shouldn't be a good witness then. That's all he saw.
Who's that?
Benavides.
He's not a good witness. Benavides is not an Oswald witness.
He told Eddie Barker, that he saw him clear.
He told Ted Calloway he didn't see shit. According to Ted Calloway said that Benavides, well, he got a good look at
Yeah, I don't believe a word of this. So, Ted Calloway, again, I don't think I've made a post about this, but Ted Calloway, somehow he's always there to help out the lone nutters whenever there's a problem with something. Ted Calloway just out of the blue one year said, "Oh yeah, Benavides confided to me that he didn't see anything." God dang, it's amazing! Wow, just goes against the known facts of it. Oh my God! So no, I don't believe that for 1 second. So Bill was right a second ago when he said that Benavides is not a. Hold on. What did he say again?
Eddie Burker, they saw him clear.
Benavides is not an Oswald witness.
Benavides is not an Oswald witness. I would agree with that. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, but this, yeah. So I think lone nutters have been panicking in recent years with Benavides because. So I think they're just now saying, "Oh, Benavides didn't see anything." So, which is, and I made a post about this, which is just asinine. Asinine that it's asinine to claim that Benavides did not see the killer. He absolutely saw the killer. He saw the killer, as Bill just said, before the shooting happened. He saw the killer walk back up on the sidewalk. He said that he walked back up on the sidewalk and he stalled and he threw shells down. He even said that he threw one shell up. So that's, that's a little detail. And then he said he trotted around the corner, and then as he was going around the corner, he was reloading his gun. And Benavides even emphasized, he said, quote, he said, quote, I mean really got a good view of the man. I mean, there it is. And then, of course, he found the shells in the exact same spot where he saw the killer throw them down. And he gave the most detailed description of the killer. The most detailed description of the killer. Described what the killer was wearing and everything. So, no. It's completely asinine to claim that Benavides did not see the killer. He did.
So Burker,
It's a fact of history.
Eddie Burker,
Ted Calloway said 1967 for the Warren Report on CBS. And Calloway said, hell no, I didn't see anything, but if they're going to pay me to be on, I'll tell them what they want to hear. That's according to Calloway, that conversation
Absolutely
took
not
place
true.
between Calloway and Benavides. And Benavides actually declined going to a lineup. When Calloway and Sam Ginyard were taken to the lineup, Benavides declined going because he said he couldn't think, he didn't see the killer well enough to identify him. He's not a witness for.
So that's as I've said so many times, just real quickly, that's the official story, is that Benavides declined to go to a lineup, but Benavides said no. He said no, of course he said he was perplexed, and when he told Mark Lane, they didn't, for some reason they didn't bring me to the lineup. Of course I could identify the guy. So
Against Oswald, Benavides. So you're right, he's not a good witness.
so he was either Calloway would be lying or Benavides would be lying on camera when he told Eddie Burker that he saw Oswald that he could identify.
Correct. Benavides didn't see anything
it is so hard to hear this.
as far as being able to identify Oswald. But when he appeared on the CBS documentary, The Warren Report, in '67, he said it was Oswald because he wanted the money. And actually, Calloway said after it was over with.
So this is, like I said, this is a whole made-up story that Ted Calloway said. Oh, Benavides confided to me that he didn't see the killer at all, and he just wanted money and everything. So he said, "What? No, absolutely asinine."
That CBS paid half of it. Sent down payment for it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That's according to Calloway. So you got Bill Smith and Jimmy Burt. They're going to start heading this way. Calloway's in his pickup truck ducking down. Tippitt's laying right back up here behind Frida. Obviously, the whole thing started with Helen Markham.
They're walking to Helen Markham's spot.
So Helen Markham was walking down to catch her bus one more block. So as she's approaching the intersection, she sees Tippett's patrol car through the intersection. Because this was not closed off in 63, Tippett came from this direction, was driving east on 10. So she stopped to let Tippett pass. She says she saw Tippett pull over and called over, man. You guys know the whole story with Markham, what she said, he's talking to the officer through the car window and all that. So here's where Markham was.
The car window was rolled up.
You go back over here. Sorry, Joe. Now, this house right here in 1963 was a two-story house. It was a multiple family home. And upon hearing the shots, Barbara Davis and Virginia Davis, they come to the screen door. They look out and they see Oswald cutting across the yard, fumbling with the revolver.
He shouldn't have said Oswald. He should say the man or the killer. See, he did not do this in his much better Tippit tour a year later. He said the man or the killer. But here he just again, you can't just nonchalantly say it was Oswald. That's not the right thing to do.
They were in this house right here. Even though they...
And by the way, Bill hasn't gotten anything wrong yet. But that's just a thing I'm always picky about. That you can't just nonchalantly say Oswald. You have to say the man or the killer.
They each described him wearing different colored jackets. They both identified Oswald in the police lineup. They picked Oswald out as the guilty party in the police lineup. Now, William Scoggins...
I'm sure we can.
We already know who you are.
From which position?
See, the argument about the Davis sisters is they did not see the actual shooting.
They did not see that.
So you can say that Oswald was there just leaving the scene with somebody else. I'll address that in a second. Since Frank was back, but you're right.
Yeah.
That's the argument.
But who needs to see him from there? Who are you talking about? See, but what witness?
Any of
But
them.
they all saw him from here. They all saw him here, though, as well.
Yeah.
But Marcus saw him here, too. Marcus saw him cut across the yard. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, from that far, if that's the closest I got, I'm not 100% sure I'd pick you out of a lineup from that far. Because I wouldn't be so scared of naming the wrong person, an innocent person.
It's hard to hear what they're talking about.
Because they all saw him here.
It ain't irrelevant. It's very relevant because you picking people out. What did he
Sure, what do you need, boss?
I'll start your timer.
Oh, rest in peace, Joseph. Rest in peace.
I'd like you to start from corner and walk down to where so we see about how long it'll take someone.
From here to there, or from there to here?
Either one.
Either
Okay,
one?
so I
Okay, where do
think
you...
they're gonna. Okay, so I think they're talking about something else. He's taking a break from the tour right here. So let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, so he goes away. He goes
Corner.
down. So let's skip this to when he comes back.
It's roughly 19 seconds because I started at 19.85.
She's not
Yeah.
watching Oswald walk. She's watching the police car go through at about 20, 25 miles an hour.
Plus, you got to factor in the time it took the shooting.
So
By the time
it
she's
took
walking
Tippett
down
every
this
bit of 5
way,
seconds to get from
she's
the
just
I'm
intersection.
not
watching
talking about
shoot
Markham
someone.
seeing him as he's leaving. I'm talking about him coming to pick up.
Markham didn't stand there and watch
These are all my friends, by the way.
the man on the sidewalk walking. She stood and watched the police car driving, which
Well,
took 5
okay.
seconds, not 19
So
seconds.
the next point is, now all this has occurred, he's getting closer to all these people.
Yep.
Very close.
Except Jimmy Burt and Bill Smith, we can't bring them up because you can't forget about them later.
Yeah, but I'm saying all the people around here. Getting very close. So they're getting more and more and more in a better view. So take it from there.
So obviously when they hear the shots,
These people can see the guy and they can identify.
absolutely. I mean, look how close Barbara Davis and
That makes no sense. He's like, oh, the hell, he's getting closer and closer so they can identify. No, Scoggins is right here, and Scoggins can't identify Oswald. So, as
Yeah.
I've laid out numerous times.
Okay, well, I'm going to put up that argument now. They didn't see the shooting.
they did not see the shooting. Okay, so here we go. But listen,
Do you mind if we move under the shade there?
But here's
Sure.
this is the guy that they saw walk through the yard. But let me address that specifically. All right. So it can be argued that Barbara Davis and William Scoggins, Barbara Davis, Virginia Davis, and William Scoggins did not actually see a man pull a trigger and shoot. Right? Only Helen Markham saw that. However, Barbara Davis, Virginia Davis, and William Scoggins saw the same man that Helen Markham saw. True. So therefore, when you deduct, they saw the killer. They just didn't see the killing,
Right.
but they saw the killer.
Yep.
They saw what Ted Campbell
So what? So what? It's not an argument. So what?
same guy. Ted Campbell.
So when the killer turns the corner, Ted Calloway didn't see the shooting. No, but he saw the killer because
Gun in hand.
Calloway saw the same man Markham saw. Calloway saw the same man Scoggins, Davis, and Davis saw. It's the same guy. So therefore, by deductive reasoning, Calloway saw the killer.
I really don't know what we're talking about here. I mean, you know, again, his second TIPPIT tour a year later, which is online, is so much 1,000 times more better than this. This is just informal conversations.
We didn't see the killing.
I think it's pretty strong evidence that he actually saw the killer with
Well, yeah, I was
the
running with a
hand.
pistol.
Yep.
The whole raised pistol position in the Marine Corps. So what you got though, guys, is you got Oswald cutting through the corner. You got Markham freaking out and screaming on the corner over here, the opposite corner. You got Benavides still ducked in his truck, looking up and seeing the killer run away. He looked at me, but he still felt like he couldn't identify him well enough.
Wait a minute.
I'm not even gonna address Killer Clinton. She was in a house. She's Mark Lane's baby. She wasn't even.
It'd been
When the
about
Warren
4
Commission
houses.
is looking.
Wow, that is wow. Well, that's cool, man. Just I'm not even gonna address Mrs. Clement. She's Mark Lane's baby. Wow. Well, that's cool. Just just toss her aside. Wow. That's horrible. Man. No. There were so many people, as I've said, who interviewed Mrs. Clemens before Mark Lane even got to her. Mark Lane got to her in 1966. And she was not found by Mark Lane. She was found by Vincent Salandria, Harold Feldman, 2 first-generation researchers, and Marguerite Oswald. So, no. And the other people, so that's 3 people and who found her. And the people who talked to Mrs. Clemens before Mark Lane even got to her was George and Patricia Nash, Shirley Martin, Dorothy Kilgallen, Earl Goltz, Tom Johnson, and Tom Johnson. So no, she's not Mark Lane's baby. That's absolutely horrible. He just put her on film. That's all he did. He preserved her testimony. He put her testimony on film. Got her on the record. So I think that's horrible to say. Oh, I'm not even going to address her. That's wow. Imagine if I said that. If a low nutter asked me a legitimate question, and I just said, I'm not going to address that. So, I'm not even going to address that. That's Vincent Bugliosi shit, you know? Imagine if I said that. I'd be dragged through the mud.
Says, where's Killer Clemens?
Yeah.
She doesn't come out until you hear.
She wasn't outside. She wasn't outside. She heard the shots and then went outside to see what was going on. No, I think.
No. As I've said, and as I've laid out many times, Mrs. Clemens was on the front porch. Okay? Mrs. Clemens was on the front porch. When this happened, she said, I got tired and I came out here and sat down here on the front porch. And she even saw what was happening at Tippitt's patrol car before the shooting even happened. So she described what happened, and she said I saw some shots. So she's still on the front porch. When she says I ran out of the house is when she left the porch, because you're leaving the house. So Mrs. Clemens was on the front porch. She was on the front porch.
She went outside of the house.
Yeah, she describes two.
Nope, I just explained it.
Who knows what she?
Well, like she probably saw
This
two.
is like, who knows? Who knows what she... No, she gave us her testimony about what she saw. We have her testimony. So, who knows what she said? No, we have her testimony.
Is looking at Tippit.
The cat. But listen, guys.
Cactus right there. There were some bushes right here.
Correct. And the stop sign, by the way, was down because somebody hit it that morning.
Yeah.
The stop sign was laying on the
That
ground.
very-
Yeah, the very morning. The stop sign was laying on the ground.
The
Yeah.
original, the
Yeah,
house
stop-
that the
yeah.
Davis sisters lived in was a two-story house. It not only had the front door, but there was also a door back over here, and that had
Correct.
a walkway.
Virginia
where the
Davis lived on the
stairs-
side entrance, and Barbara Davis lived in the front entrance because there's a duplex.
Yeah.
And then the little sidewalk came out, and then it's right over here. Then the other two were found as Oswald was turning the corner.
Over there.
These are the two post shells.
Along his path.
Correct.
But how far along this path? Look how far he came.
Listen, the ejector rod would not eject. The shells swelled because it was a special revolver that Oswald possessed.
What
It
was
wasn't-
special?
There's
I'm
no
just
requirement of when the guy opens the gun to try to dump the shooter. There's no requirement as to when.
I was using an ejector rod on a single action revolver yesterday, and I was having trouble ejecting the
It's
shells.
not automatic. Let's just push the button and it come out just like that.
Yeah, you hit the ejector rod, it comes out a tiny little bit.
I have no idea what everyone's quibbling about. It's a fact that the killer had a revolver and was tapping the shells out, and then threw the shells in a bush, and then on the side of the house. I don't know what everyone's quibbling here.
Like I was burning my fingers pulling the shells out.
Sometimes it doesn't want to drop right out.
But if you have the ejector rod is connected to a thing right around where all the bullets are in, right? You push that rod, and it's actually things that wrap around the lip of each bullet that pushes the shell
Correct.
out, right?
Not
Okay.
always. 'Cause
Not
sometimes
always.
If you don't push the thing out all the way, they all won't come out. You can push it out halfway. Some of the shells might come out, and other will stay in.
But listen,
Go for
let's-
it.
let's-
And another thing that Mrs. Clemens said, she said, quote, I was just sitting out here, meaning when the shooting happened. I forgot to say that.
You think it'll help? Go for it. Get that on tape. Frida's using my super big gulp to try to cool down her phone.
But let's
That's
talk about the
Texas
shells
in July.
after we discuss the
I need
whole
some
route.
ice to cool down my
You know what I'm saying,
phone.
though? Okay.
One more day. One more day.
You got Oswald turning the corner. You got the Davis sisters, both of them at the front door here, and they see him cutting through corners. Barbara Davis said that he kind of looked at her and had like a nervous smile as he looked. He cuts the corner, so Scoggins is sitting in his cab. He saw the officer pull him slowly across the intersection right in front of his cab while he was sitting there eating his lunch. He did not say he saw Oswald walking in front, so that's why Scoggins is a witness attesting to Oswald was walking this way. Now, so Scoggins hears the shots, looks up, and sees the man running straight towards him. There's no fence here.
And by the way, silence from me is meaning of course, I have nothing to critique, which means I agree with what's being, being said, or I have nothing to say. So, anyway.
Right here. He's sitting like right here. Now, he didn't pull up to the stop sign because you can't really park right there. He was sitting about here, and you can see it right through the little bushes. The guy's coming straight at him because Oswald didn't go on the side, he cut through the road. So Scoggins gets out of his cab because he didn't want the guy to try to commandeer his cab. Scoggins starts to run this way, gets to across the street here, decides there's nowhere to go, comes back and ducks down behind the front quarter panel with the driver's side. He sees Oswald coming through, and that's the whole poor damn cop.
Yeah.
That's when he said it was. Scoggins said he heard it as Oswald was cutting through here. So now keep in mind, you got Jimmy Burt and Bill Smith, who are on the other side of Denver. Now they're making a mad dash this way. So Oswald continues down here. He cuts to this side.
Again, he keeps saying Oswald, but he needs to say the killer or the man, which he did do in his tour in his next tour, which I've said is very, very good, and I was there for that one. Very fair and balanced.
Oswald's now going down this side of the street.
Again, he keeps saying Oswald. Jeez, it's ridiculous.
Where's Ted at the time?
That's where we're going now. We're going to go all the way to the Texaco station, and we'll just come right back.
Do you think he was reloading up here when he had to raise the pistol position?
He had already emptied the revolver by the time he turned the corner, hence the shells being found up there. Now he's reloading it as he's going through.
No, Sam Gignard said he threw a shell down. Said the killer threw a shell down here.
He doesn't have a speed loader, so he has to manually load the cartridges one at a time.
As he's running.
I made again, as I made it in a post, and as I pointed out in the second debate that Bill and I did, there's too many bullets and shells. It's just incredible. I've listed them before. It's just, hey, I mean, that's JFK for you. Too many bullets, too many shells. It's just incredible. So many bullets, so many shells.
That's out of here.
Yep. And then Calloway sees them. He goes, "Hey, man, what's going on?" He just kind of shrugs his shoulders. I don't know.
Yeah, he said something to him he didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So Calloway, this is not the...
Interestingly, there was a guy who came forward and said, no, actually, a guy who came forward a few years later and said, no, that was actually me who was running through the neighborhood who Calloway saw me, and it wasn't Oswald's, but that's a whole other rabbit hole, so.
They were back here. This was the office was here, and this lot was where the cars were. This was a used car.
They were that close?
Yeah, Calloway.
Yeah.
Was this alley here?
This is where Calloway worked, and this lot here is where the office where he was working
here's the
was.
office, and then here's the alley.
I thought it was here.
No, that's the car
I
lot.
did too.
This is the car lot. The car lot was here.
Oh, this is a lot closer than I pictured it.
Yeah,
I thought
it's
it was
on the
further away,
same
too.
block. Yeah.
So the bottom line is this. So Calloway hears the shots. Ginyard hears the shots. Ginyard's
From
reporter.
here?
Yeah. So Calloway comes out. Now, you know, it doesn't really matter too much whether he's there or here, but Calloway's out here. Looks up the street where the sound of the shots came from. Sees the killer cutting across the street.
By the way, Calloway's account and Gignard's account are very different, which makes us wonder. Couple that with the fact that Calloway runs up to the crime scene and says, "Where'd he go?" Which, of course, a bunch of us have pointed out. Why would he ask that if he supposedly saw the killer? And that coupled with how his account is different than Gignard, who was right next to him right here, raises some serious questions.
Sam Ginyard's on the lot washing cars. He hears the shot.
It's not all as clear cut as as the official story tries to make it out to be.
Between the two houses and sees the killer cutting, even though it's killer's time, going west on 10th between two of the houses up here. He looks up and sees that because he's over here on the lot. So they both come out. Oswald's making his way down. And here's where it gets really interesting because you guys know all about Calloway. Hey man, what the hell's going on and all that stuff, right? So Oswald's making his way down. Jimmy Burt and Bill Smith, keep in mind on this side of Denver, they've now got to the corner. Okay, they see Oswald coming down this way.
Should I have a little bell every time he says Oswald when really he should be saying the killer? That would be funny. That would be funny. Let me download a little bell on my phone. That's funny. I'll download it. So far, we should have had ding, 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 ding. Probably like 8 or 9 or 10 dings so far. But, I don't know. I'll download it on my phone. Anyway, let's keep watching.
So Calloway and Ginyard, who both obviously, I don't know if you guys, they went to a lineup that afternoon by LaBelle. Both of them positively identified Oswald as the man they saw running with the gun. Can't say they saw the killing, but they saw the killer.
But they stopped and checked on the killer.
Calloway went back up there. Ginyard did not.
Smith and
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah, they did actually. But and then they actually went back.
Okay.
So we gotta kind of jump ahead because we don't have to keep walking back and forth. So this alley right here, guys. So Jimmy Burt, Bill Smith, the killer goes down to the corner, takes a right on Jefferson. However, so Burt and Smith start to come down Patton and chase in search of the killer, like chasing him. They get to the alley right here, and they look down the alley and they see the man they saw. Now Bill Smith identified the man as Oswald. Jimmy Burt did not get.
Oh my God, no! Oh, did he just say that? Oh my God, did he just say that William Arthur Smith identified? Oh my God, no. No. Oh my God. Well, Bill's gotten more knowledgeable since then, since this video. So, but no, that is absolutely not true that Smith did not identify Oswald. And how do we know this? We know this because buried deep in the National Archives in the Warren Commission's files, we find an FBI report of an interview with Smith, and it says, quote, this is CD 205, page 243. Quote, Smith advised that he did not believe it was Oswald when he saw Oswald on TV that night, end quote. Is this mentioned in the Warren Report or its 26 volumes? No. No. And and this is his testimony from volume 7, page 84, when he testified before the Warren Commission. Now, did you see Oswald on television? Yes, sir. On the night of the shooting? Yes, sir. Did it appear to you to be the same man you had seen? He had lighter hair than he did when I saw him. Well, now wait a minute. This is actual words. Well, now wait a minute. You mean the man you saw on television had lighter hair? Mr. Smith. Then the man you saw running away? Yes. Is that right? Yes, sir. And so no, he could not identify Oswald as the killer. And the best that they could say to him, the best that they could get out of him, is that Oswald resembled the killer. And that is volume 7, page 85. So no, Smith did not ID Oswald as the killer.
That we saw shoot the officer is we saw him down there in the alley.
Where's he's on a first house.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oswald ran the whole way down.
Did another witness pick him up over here?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Working at
the guy that got shot later on.
Warren Reynolds. Now I'll get those guys in a second. So you got Bill Smith and Jimmy Burt right here. They look down the alley and they see the man in the alley a block down. Now, a block down from here is the back of the Texaco station with Jacko's. Okay, the parking lot was behind the Texaco station, and then behind the parking lot is the alley. So they're witnesses to place Oswald in the vicinity of where the jacket was found. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Well, some people actually dispute that Oswald even left with the jacket.
Yep. People dispute everything.
Joseph disputes that because
You name it, they dispute it.
Joseph disputes it because the picture of the jacket in the document. Yeah.
Oh, that's the end of part 1. So yeah, this is like 3 or 4 parts. It's crazy.
Versus beige.
The sun's shining right on it, and the different kind of film can make the same damn thing look different colors.
By the time they saw him, didn't have a jacket.
He had a jacket on.
Wait, what did you say? What did you say?
Versus beige.
The sun's shining right on it, and the different kind of film can make the same damn thing.
Oh my God, are they actually saying that? Well, lights and shadows can make the gray jacket look the gray jacket look white in the film. No, the officers on the scene said white jacket. All the reports say white jacket, and the film footage of it shows a white jacket. You can't get around this. There are white cars in the background. It's the same color. So this is a white jacket that they found. That's not the jacket that's in evidence now, which is a gray jacket. So no. Oh, well, lights and shadows. Maybe it could make it look like. No. People that saw it said it was a white jacket. It was reported as a white jacket. It was testified to as a white jacket. It was a white jacket. A white jacket. Blanco.
He had a jacket off.
Yeah. It's like, why plant that? Why even bother? That's just gilding the lily, you know?
It's only 1 block to the Texaco.
That's an extremely typical thing suspects will do in flight is try to change their appearance and get rid of clothing. Happens all the time.
Absolutely.
I've chased guys and I'd find like a hoodie that they left all the time.
I'm from Toronto. A couple years ago, there was the G.
So he's saying, people change, people shed their jackets to change appearances. I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that. Yeah, the killer obviously shed his white jacket. And then Johnny Brewer sees Oswald wearing a jacket in front of his shoe store. So, no, he couldn't have been the killer because the killer left his jacket, and Oswald is still wearing a jacket when he's about to enter the movie theater. So, no, it couldn't have been Oswald. And by the way, Erlene Roberts said that Oswald was wearing a dark jacket, and all of the Tippit witnesses all said that the killer was wearing a light jacket. Hence the white jacket that was found. So, no, Oswald did not do this.
7 summit in Toronto, and there was a riot in the city, and there was that group, they call them the Black Bloc. They're like anti-capitalist anarchist group, and they just go stir shit up, throw shit through windows and whatnot. And somebody caught them on tape. They would destroy property, and then they'd run around the corner, drop their backpack, and in their backpack they had another set of clothes, and they'd quickly, in like a storefront, swap out their shirts, swap out their hoodies. They call them the Black Bloc because they dress head to toe in black while they commit the crimes, and then they go around the corner and change and calmly just walk away. But in this particular case, somebody was there and actually caught them on tape doing that. So that is a very common thing. It happens all the time. Yeah, it's too bad that camera wasn't there in 1963.
So Bill Smith and Jimmy Burt, they look down the alley. They see the man that they saw. He's blocked down in the alley, and which puts him behind the Texaco station. So anyway, Oswald continues down.
Okay, and that's how far down is that?
It's only 1 block.
Okay, but
A couple of feet. Yeah.
why is
They
he
saw it.
here and not?
What's that?
Why is he seen here and not on his way?
Someone said he cut through here.
Yeah,
So
well, hold on. So Helen Markham said he cut, later in life, said he cut through the alley. Now, Helen Markham was best friends with Bill Smith. Jimmy Burt, Bill Smith over here. Helen Markham's son, was best friends with Bill Smith. So, they...
Well, how do you find that out?
I'm just reading over the years.
Okay, if he's had the
You can Google it. What I'll tell you is true, though.
But how do you find this out? That's funny. It's funny, but it's also a good feeling when someone asks you that. You know, how do you know this? So yeah.
Markham's son, I don't know what his first name was, but he was friends with Bill Smith.
No, I've heard that.
Yeah. So Mark,
He's headed to the theater. Why is he? He's not going to come and walk
because he doesn't know he's heading.
Yeah, we know that in hindsight, but at the time he's just trying to get out of here, you know?
But
He's just trying to get away.
You guys just understand that Jimmy Burt and Bill Smith saw the killer. See that pickup truck?
Let's see if this bell works. Okay, so every time Bill says Oswald, when he's supposed to say the killer, I think I'm gonna play. Anyway, maybe not. Okay, we have a ways to go.
50 yards this way is where the block ends. You can see the truck go through the intersection here in just a second.
Oh yeah, right where that yellow hydro pole is, yeah.
Oswald went down. And that's the next point. So come on down here to the corner, guys. And now we're going to talk about Warren Reynolds, who we brought up a second ago about the guy that got shot dead later. Yeah.
Because that was supposedly an attempt on his life because of what he written right.
I'll address that here.
They can get to JFK, but they can't get to that guy. Did Warren Reynolds roll around with a crew of dudes with automatic weapons? I mean, JFK did. They still got to him, no problem.
So in 1963, this building on the corner right here was the Johnny Reynolds Motor Company. Okay, it wasn't this building. It was just a smaller, it was a car. And,
By the way, this is not a
L.M. Lewis.
jokingly matter to joke about. So
Harold Russell.
this is not a subject to joke about.
And Warren Reynolds were here.
Or to be
They all
campy
four
about.
get shots from up the street, okay? They look up Patton, and all 4 of the men describe the killer running down the street with the revolver in his hand, and they said he was either reloading it or loading it. We're not sure what, every one of them said, don't know if he's loading it or reloading it, but he was fumbling with the revolver as he was running down Patton. Now, this is why he didn't cut through the alley up here, okay? So, every one of them described the killer getting the revolver loaded.
See how he finally said here the killer instead of Oswald. That's how it should be. But every time he says Oswald when he shouldn't, I'm gonna ring the bell.
Putting it in his waistband, and then stopped running and walk as he turned the corner. He stopped running and started to walk immediately upon reaching the corner, started walking west on Jefferson. What's that? Yeah. So anyway, you have Warren Reynolds. Yeah. And we're gonna walk right past him. So now the first guy over here, Lewis, he goes inside and calls the police right away. He goes into the office and calls the police. And then after Lewis, while he's doing that, Harold Russell runs up.
And he was having a hard time getting through to the police, which raises the question: did some of the other people who called the police did they have a hard time getting through? Because the phones are ringing off the hook from after the president was killed and everything. So that's just a little side thing.
And then after Lewis, while he's doing that, Harold Russell runs up Patton to see what happened up here, and he was actually on the scene when the police arrived. Warren Reynolds and Pat Patterson, they say, hey, let's follow the guy. What's going on here? We saw him running with a gun. We hear shots. Let's just see what's going on. So Oswald's going this way. They start following.
Oh, he said it. He said Oswald, not the killer.
So Oswald's now going this way.
Oh, he said again.
As he turns the corner, this is when Bill Smith and Jimmy Burt now look down the alley, or they're actually up there with Tippit right now, but as Oswald gets down here to the Blue Texaco, that's when they start to push the alley. See him in the back of the alley. We're going to walk back through the alley. Warren Reynolds, and this is also where Warren Reynolds got shot in the head, was in the basement of the building next door. However, let me tell you that.
That was a robbery, wasn't it?
He was shot, like say, January 22nd of 64, January 23rd, whatever the date was. For argument, let's say it was January 22nd. On January 21st, the day before he was shot in the head, he signed an FBI statement saying that I feel like the guy was Oswald, but I'm not confident enough to make a positive.
Yeah, he did not sign a statement. It is a hearsay report of what he supposedly told them. He didn't sign anything.
For sure. But he actually said, I feel like the guy was Oswald. You can read his police report that he gave to the FBI. It was the next day that he was shot. It was literally the next day. That's when he was shot. So he'd already said he felt like he was Oswald.
That goes against what he actually said when he was asked later in life, when he set the record straight once and for all, and he said, look, I was too far away, I could not get a good look at the guy, but because I was shot, I changed my story. I couldn't identify anyone, but because I was shot, I changed my story. That's the ultimate final word. Ultimate final word on Warren Reynolds. So everything else before that does not matter.
Conspiracy theorists will tell you he only identified.
Oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. It should be researchers or critics.
Whenever he was shot.
We're not looking into Bigfoot. We're not QAnon. We're not Alex Jones. We're not, moon hoaxers and Boston bombing hoaxers and hoax and Sandy Hook hoax. We're not that. We're researchers. We're doing political research. We're not looking into all that.
He gave an FBI. Look at the facts. You can
You
Google
said it already, yeah.
Google the date he was shot. Look at his FBI statement. The day before he was shot, he said, "I feel like it was Oswald, but I can't quite make the positive identification for sure." So Warren Reynolds and Pat Patterson. Now here's another thing too. Here's what they ignored. Pat Patterson was step for step with Warren Reynolds, following this guy. So take Warren Reynolds out of the equation. Pat Patterson still said the guy was Oswald. He didn't get shot in the head. He saw the same. He was following the same person.
No, wow. There's so much. Well, if you take Warren Reynolds out of the equation, Patterson still didn't know. First of all, Patterson was not shown a photograph, a photo lineup, but a single photo of Oswald months after the crime, after he was nationally known. As I've always said, that's like showing someone Osama bin Laden. Does this guy look familiar to you? Is this the guy, 9/11? Well, yeah, because he's all over the news and TV, so that's absolutely worthless. But it gets interesting. It gets interesting with Patterson, because Patterson was interviewed a second time, and he said, no, I don't ever recall being shown a photograph and identifying anyone. so this just keeps getting better. And then they said, well, what about this? And they pulled out another photo of Oswald, and he said, well, is this the guy? Well, yeah. Well, yeah. And you know what photo they showed him? The backyard photos. The backyard photo. I mean, this is a sham. This is a sham. Showing the backyard photos. Is this the guy? Well, yeah, of course, yeah. So, after he's dead, nationally known, this is a farce. This is a farce. For people to pretend that there are no conflicts, that there are no problems in the evidence, is just blows my mind.
They both were following the same guy. So Patterson says it was Oswald. So you can take Warren Reynolds out of the equation if you want to. You're still Oswald. You see what I'm saying?
Well, like, why kill
No, as I've just described.
that one guy, but not the half a dozen other eyewitness,
who was running with Warren Reynolds,
or Helen Markham, or Scoggins, or any of those people, you know?
Okay, buddy. Okay. We're going over here.
Helen Markham said, I had a nervous breakdown. I lost my job. I did everything. This is just shook her brain, shook her up. This really racked up her life. What are you talking about? Benavides, this ruined his life. Harold Russell, this ruined his life as well. This ruined his life. It probably led to his death. It made him go nuts. As we said, Warren Reynolds was shot in the head. Mrs. Clemens was threatened. Oh God, who else? So many others. So I just can't stand this revisionist history that people just. It's not people just say it, but they casually say it. For just casually with the straight face, just say that that there are no problems with the evidence, and that's really horrible. That's really horrible. It's like politician type horrible. To say something with a straight face, that's not true. And to omit, I think omitting things is a lot worse than lying about things, leaving things out. These people don't even know. People may hear something that's wrong, but for them to not even be told about other things that are equally, if not more important, that's, I think is worse.
Back to the alley. I gotta use the bathroom, so. Okay. Okay. So now Oswald's going this way, and you got.
Oh, you said Oswald again.
Warren Reynolds and Pat Patterson, they're following him from the half block away. Obviously, he's got a gun. They don't want to get too close. In the meantime, the police are called by Lewis inside the building here. Coincidentally, for the Dudley Hughes Funeral Home.
I think their police responded to Higgins calling the police, if my mind remembers correctly.
Right here, it was on scene like in 80 seconds after being called.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's just around the corner.
Ted Galloway went up the street after the killer passed him. Helped the ambulance. Eddie Kinsley, the ambulance driver, they helped him look.
What did he not say? What did Calloway say when he got there? Where'd the gunman go? As we said earlier. Where'd he go? Hey, I saw him run by, but hey, where'd he go? I allegedly saw him run by me, but where'd he go?
The ambulance, they took off before the police even showed up. Tippit was gone before the police got there.
To Methodist.
What's that?
Methodist.
Yeah, Methodist Hospital, exactly. Right on Beckley. So now you got Oswald going this way.
Oh, you said Oswald again.
Back here. You got Patterson and Warren Reynolds are following him from over here.
I wonder if he knew they were following.
Yeah, that's a good question. Nobody ever, obviously Oswald was killed 2 days, so
Yeah.
could be a zillion more questions.
He might not have ever told them anything anyway,
It's going to be archived in that camera right there. So they go back far enough.
Was this building even here in those days?
That one was.
Oswald went as far as telling them where and when he changed his clothes.
Oswald cuts through here.
Oh, said again.
This was the Blues Texaco station right here in 1963. Now, Robert Brock was
Same building, right?
Same building, yeah. Yep. So Robert Brock was an employee here, and Mary Brock was his wife, and she just happened to be there. So the guy goes by in the building. Warren Reynolds and Pat Patterson come over, and they see Mary Brock out here. They say, hey, did you see a guy go by wearing a jacket? I think he was involved in the shooting. She said, yeah, he just rushed past, and he went by the building. So she gave in a statement, she never testified, but in a statement to the FBI, she said the man was Oswald that rushed past her. So there's another Oswald positive.
I didn't know
identification.
that.
Yeah, Mary Brock. Yeah.
Again, these are all claims. These are all claims by the FBI. There's nothing signed by them, by her, that we can see with her signature on it. These are just claims. These are claims and not the evidence.
Now, Robert Brock was also interviewed by the FBI. He said he didn't see the guy well enough to say one way or the other who he was. He didn't say it wasn't Oswald. He just didn't say it was.
I don't understand but this whole can't say one way or the other. No, he can't identify the person. He can't identify. He can't identify. It's not. I can't say one way or the other. No. Can you identify this person? No. Can you identify this man? They're showing him Oswald. Is it? No. Can't identify him. No. So he's saying it. So this whole can't say one way or the other is, I'm sorry, but a sloppy way to smuggle in something into your argument that is not representative of the truth. He didn't say, no, I can't say one way or the other. He said, no, I can't identify him. I can't identify him as the shooter. No.
So he emerged here. Actually, nobody knows. Nobody knows how he got to the Hardy Shoe store. Who knows?
You know what? If I'm a suspect, I might stay in the alleys for a little while before I come back out.
Well, so listen to this. So Oswald disappears behind here. And I say Oswald because Warren Reynolds, Pat Patterson, Manny Brock said it was Oswald. That's why I'm saying it was Oswald. So
I have no problem with that.
You started saying Oswald before, when the tour started. So no. Plausible deniability. You have to throw that in. Just have a little plausible deniability.
So, Bill, if you want to continue Smith, Burt didn't stand there and watch. They saw him. Bill Smith literally said to Dale Myers, he had a gun we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't follow. He had a gun we didn't. Besides that, they saw.
He didn't say that to, no, he's getting the quote wrong. That wasn't from Bill Smith to Myers. That was someone else. I think that was Jimmy Burt to reporter Al Chapman. He had a gun, we didn't, so no. That was, or no. I know that I forgot who said it to who, but that's wrong. He attributed the wrong quote there.
They saw, Bill Smith saw Tippett's body drop to the street. Okay? They were out in the front yard. So, now, I don't know where the car was, where the jacket was found. It was in this parking lot back here. I couldn't tell you where the car was.
Worst picture.
It's right there.
There's no pictures far enough back to give you a perception of where the car is in the lot. But the car's found, the jacket's found underneath one of these cars here.
Blowing in the wind.
Yeah, when the cops blew it up, yeah. Now Oswald is back here, and he does not have his jacket anymore. This alley right here, guys. Now, there's no fence back here at 63. This
What'd he say, Oswald, again?
Anymore. This alley right here, guys. Now, there's no fence back here at 63. This wasn't fenced off.
Tell him.
Jacket's found underneath one of these cars here.
Blowing in the wind.
Yeah, when the cops blew it up, yeah. So now Oswald is back here.
Yep, he said
does
Oswald
not have
again.
his jacket anymore. This alley right here, guys. Now, there's no fence back here at 63. This wasn't fenced off. So Oswald.
He said Oswald.
You guys heard of the Abundant Life Temple?
Yeah, I have heard of that.
Yeah. That's on the inside of the alley right here. Where the baseball field is up in the baseball field. The Abundant Life Temple set right here.
So hard to hear. Hard to hear.
Now, back there's the street. You can see the street clearly from here. That's where we're just standing right there in the street.
Yeah.
So they were at the street right there, and they saw the killer right here. Okay? So now all of a sudden, they go back up. They said he had a gun, we didn't. They didn't chase anymore. They stopped. They actually went back up to 10th and Patton to the scene of the Tippett's body. Okay?
Where's furniture store?
The furniture store's over here. It was the antique store. An old antique furniture store right there, broken down building. Abundant Life Temple right here with the front entrance on 10th Street. So the police showed up on the scene. Warren Reynolds is still here. And he's assuring the police, hey, I'm telling you guys, he's still in the area. He's still in the area. Don't leave. He's still here somewhere. I know he is. So they searched the antique building here. Don't find him. They searched the Abundant Life. They actually go around the front. There's two old ladies inside there. There's nobody in here. They searched the building, so they can't find Oswald. He may have went back down to Jefferson.
Oh, I got that right. I just looked it up in my files. Yeah. So that quote, he had a gun and we didn't. That quote, I was right. Wow. That did come from not Smith to Myers, but from Burt to Chapman. Well, I got that right. There we go. Just wanted to double check that.
Who knows? Everybody lost sight of him at this point. Jimmy Burt and Bill Smith didn't stay there. They went back up. Okay? So there's no sense in walking anymore. The next stop is the Hardy Shoe Store, and that's too far to go. So
All right.
drive over there. Bottom line is, they saw Oswald back here in the alley.
Oh, he said Oswald again.
More, again, testimony that puts Oswald at the same place.
Well,
It all ties to him.
There were fibers found. Fibers were found inside one of the sleeves of the jacket. They tested the fibers. They took test fibers. They removed test fibers from the brown shirt Oswald was wearing when he was arrested. Okay, and they had
so the gray jacket that's now in evidence now has fibers from Oswald's shirt in it, but of course it was the white jacket that was found. So anyway, and by the way, you know, at the end of the day, that's just a claim. It's just a claim on a single piece of paper in the National Archives. Where are the test results, the lab results, the notes, who did the test, where was it done, what laboratory, what technicians, you know, there's nothing. We just have not even a report. It just says, one single page in passing, you know. So, anyway. And that was in CD7, page 352. It also appears in one other document in one of the Oswald 201, and I was in one of the 201 files. But that's, again, it's just a claim. Where's the supporting evidence?
I don't know if Freedom knows it. I don't know. Maybe they do.
Are they related?
But listen, so they
They're
pulled out.
consistent.
They actually were a match. According to Stumbaugh, the FBI expert, he's the hair and fiber analysis expert. He used the word match in his testimony. They were a match. Now, all that means is that the fibers in the jacket were the exact same fibers as the fibers taken from the arrest shirt, but they also could have been somebody else's shirt that also may have had the same fibers. It doesn't conclusively say it was Oswald's jacket, but it was a match. It didn't say it wasn't, which was the important part.
Just like the tuft fibers in the butt of the gun.
Yep.
Same thing.
Matches the carpet that the rifle was stored in.
Nope, all that's been debunked.
Yeah.
Again, just a bunch of these arguments are just old. I mean, I might as well be listening to an audio tape, round table, dinner table discussion from 1974. We've come so far away. We've come so far,
Stumbaugh did not say,
But in court, we would show, well, those men for sure
so the jury can decide. They can how much
go
weight
ahead.
to give.
Or judge, you decide what you say. But can you conclusively say that these fibers did come from
You
that?
cannot say that.
No.
You cannot say. And Stumbaugh did not try to say that.
Some
He just
consider
said-
that a match, though.
Yeah.
But also a match could be they matched each other. They had the same exact
Are they still there?
color, twist, and shape. They had the same color.
Like my cup matches his cup.
But they
Yeah.
have to say,
It really doesn't.
they have to say that they can't say it's his shirt because that shirt was
Exactly.
1,000 of those shirts were
The
produced.
important part regarding the fibers is it doesn't
Right.
rule out the shirt.
That's
being a
right.
shirt
Yeah.
that's in the jacket.
That's right.
It doesn't say these fibers cannot have come from the same
That's the
garment.
important part.
Yeah.
Again, all claims. It's just all claims. Where's the evidence?
I mean, like, fibers, they're not like fingerprints or shell casings, you know.
People are like, this is the evidence. This is the evidence. No, these are claims. These are claims. And this is not evidence.
How are you supposed to match them
Did you
definitively?
get what I said though about Blue Reynolds' FBI statement a day later?
I'm getting
Absolutely.
I'm getting bored, to be honest. Jesus.
That's important.
The timing just throws the whole thing off. Because, they'll go hit by his later account.
Correlation does not equal
He
causation.
was hesitant.
Oh my God, we could have a whole conversation
But
about
he
that.
never says it wasn't Oswald. Yet some conspiracy theorists will literally tell you.
Hold on, wait, what's going on?
Pinpoint it as Oswald, but he never says it wasn't Oswald.
Wait, who was,
He
Causation.
was hesitant to pinpoint it as Oswald, but he never says it wasn't Oswald.
oh, what no one has ever mentioned here are the, that 5 people who categorically said it was not Oswald. The man I saw was not Oswald. Is this ever mentioned? No, of course it's not. Of course it's not mentioned here. Why would it be mentioned here? Jeez.
Conspiracy theorists will literally tell you. Reynolds said
He's
the
a
guy was
conspiracy theorist again, that's wrong.
Oh, yeah.
He never said that.
Yeah. Or they'll take a statement that says, you know, I'm not sure, but it looked like it was Oswald. That turns into it was not Oswald.
Exactly.
No one has ever done that. I've never
Because
seen an
they
example of
twist it around
that.
and put their spin on it.
Yep.
So he got tracked all the way to
Did
Hardy.
did you just say spin on it? Oh my god, that's amazing. That's so rich. And again, I think I should say, you know, these people are my friends, but you know, I'm fact check. We're doing a reaction video here, okay? These people are my friends. We can be cordial. We can talk. We can disagree, but I'm just doing a reaction video here. This is not even really a fact check. This is just my reaction to this. I've seen this probably once. Okay, I'm not doing this to I got you. I'm not doing it to that. No, I'm just doing a reaction video.
He had eyes on him from the time he shot Tippit to the time he was last seen in the alley. He had eyes on him.
They can
The
barely hit.
problem is, everybody lost him all at once. When he was last seen back here in the alley, nobody sees him again. Nobody shoots him. You guys have any questions about any of this from here?
It's a small area.
It is, isn't it?
When you come here and you look at it.
I'll got one. Oswald's running down the square.
Oh, we see the other one again.
You be Callaway and put me where Oswald was.
You know that there's a certain distance where you can't identify a person's face anymore, and that's a certain distance where you can't. Or at this point, you see, like right there, you can't make out. You can't see a person. Look at that. You can't. Let's use zoom. You know, see right there. You can't see that. His face right there. See? Look at those.
When you pass the alley.
Can you make out his face? No, I can barely make out that he's African American. Look at that.
Well, Callaway actually ran all the way down the corner, so he already passed. But he also, Callaway saw him up here too. You're trying to actually go one spot. Callaway saw him all the way down. Callaway said the closest he got to me, the FBI came out and measured was 56 feet. Okay. The closest that Oswald got to Callaway, according to the FBI, they came out and interviewed Callaway.
I'll write down in the comment section later what the distance is where you can't identify a person, where it's hard to, where you can't identify a person's face anymore. But we measured it on site and at our TIPPIT gathering 2 months ago, and we determined that it, from where Helen Markham was, that you cannot. He was like, can you see his face? Like, it's hard to make out, you know. So all this has been tested.
Standing. Where was he standing when he was closest to you? And they measured it's 56 feet. So that's 19 yards on a golf course.
Well, the closest would be here to here, and wherever he is when he's 90 degrees.
Well, I'm thinking,
Right?
but Callaway didn't see him turn.
Callaway
They
actually
ran back and got the
Yeah,
guy.
Callaway actually did not watch him actually make a turn because he went back up there. After he said, "Hey man, what the hell's going on?" The guy, Callaway said, he said something to me that I couldn't understand. And then he kept on going, so Callaway went up there and said,
Right.
And then you got to transfer Oswald to the new witnesses down here, Reynolds,
Right.
Lewis, Patterson, and Russell.
Okay.
Now Lewis, by the way, the guy that went inside to call the police, he actually told the FBI, I couldn't tell you if it was Oswald or not. I didn't see him well enough. The other three said it was Oswald. So here's what you
Based
got.
on the photos, on a single photo of Oswald showed months later, showed to them months later after he was nationally known, as I've already said.
Bill Smith, not Jimmy.
That's another thing that's omitted by the Lone Nutters. They don't say how it was a single photograph. They make it imply that it was a lineup. It's not. It was a single photograph. Oh, was it that night? And that's interesting. Yeah, they never say when it was. They just say they picked Oswald they identified Oswald's photo, which implies that it was a lineup, a photo array or lineup. It was not. It was a single photo. Was it that night? No, it wasn't that night. It was months later after he was nationally known. So again, all this is, like I said, all this is left out, which is a shame.
Bill Smith, Helen Markham.
Okay, so he's naming all the people who supposedly identified Oswald, but in my view, 8 said yes to Oswald, but only 4 can seemingly be taken as credible. So it's really, so whatever number he says here, it's actually really 4. Callaway, Ginyard, Davis, and Davis.
So here's what you got. Bottom line, guys, is this: Bill Smith.
Nope, not Bill Smith, as we said. Smith did not identify Oswald, as we've shown.
But Bill Smith, Helen Markham.
Nope.
Ted. Well, we'll start in order. Barbara Davis, Virginia Davis, William Scoggins.
Nope.
Ted Calloway, Sam Ginyard, Harold Russell.
Nope.
Pat Patterson.
Nope.
Warren Reynolds. There we go. And Mary Brock.
Nope.
So 11 people
Nope.
that saw Oswald between the police car and the alley that all said it was Oswald. There's
Nope.
11 of them. You have
Oh,
Benavides.
nope. All missing
All
context.
said it was Oswald. There's 11 of them.
All
You
missing
have
context.
Benavides, Bird, Lewis, okay, and Robert Brock. That's 4 people said, can't say it was Oswald, but I'm not saying it wasn't Oswald. Right?
That's not what they said. Can you identify this person? No, I can't identify this person. So again, he's smuggling, he's changing their words, saying I can't say one way or the other. Again, that's not what they said.
Was. So there you have it. So at 11 and 4, 11 yeses, 4 indifferent, 0 no's.
No, 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 no. He says 0 again. No, about 5 people said it was not Oswald. This is a lie. This is a lie. And I hate to say this about my brother, but no, not my blood brother, but
11,
we're close. He's my brother,
can't say it
but
was.
no, I cannot believe. No, I can't believe this. I just can't believe that he says there are 0 people who say it was not Oswald. It's horse shit. Absolutely not true.
0 no's.
Yep.
Not one of them out of the 15 people I just told you about said it was not Oswald.
Horse shit. Horse shit.
And
How
that's important.
somewhat reasonable CTs they'll admit that Oswald killed Tippit because the witnesses are just overwhelming.
Between you and I, whenever I'm talking to the CT about the Kennedy assassination,
Oh my God, this is
whenever I'm talking,
this is a great part. I need to use the bathroom real quickly. I'll be back in 1 minute. I'll be back in 1 minute. Enjoy some. I'll be right back. Hold on. Try to put music on while I'm gone. Hold on. Oh, what the hell? I'll be right back. 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. So this next part is hilarious. What Bill Brown says next is what made Joseph McBride decline the invitation to debate him. And the video ends right here, and it goes into the next part, so hold on. So bear with me. I'll say it as he's saying it.
CT about the Kennedy assassination,
because the witnesses are just overwhelming.
between you and I, whenever I'm talking to the CT,
He says whenever I'm talking to a conspiracy theorist,
the
If they, hold on, let's go to the next one. He says, if I'm ever talking to a conspiracy theorist about the assassination,
actually acknowledge that Oswald killed Tippit, I'd love to talk to them.
and they don't acknowledge that Oswald killed Tippit, I don't want to talk to them.
Actually acknowledge that Oswald killed Tippit, I'd love to talk to them. But when they actually want to deny Oswald
Oh, I'm sorry, hold on.
actually
Yeah.
acknowledge that Oswald killed Tippit, I'd love to talk to them. But when they actually want to deny Oswald killed Tippit, I don't want to talk to them because this is a fact.
You
Yeah.
hear that? He said, he says, I don't even want to talk to them.
But when they actually want to deny Oswald
And they want to deny Oswald
this is a
killed
fact.
Tippit,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to them.
It couldn't be more clear.
That is absolutely amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Oh, wow. I got beat down just the other day for suggesting that us critics don't engage, what's the point of engaging with lone others? Wow. He actually said, if I don't even want to talk to them. Wow, that's cool. Just, wow.
And he's got the gun on him that killed Tippit.
At the time of his arrest, when he pulls it out and tries to kill another.
I'll give you more.
That's why we came back. We're not going to walk it. We're going to drive over there.
Again, I've debunked all this. Why did he try to kill another cop? Well, he's entangled in the conspiracy, and realizes he's about to probably be killed, so of course he would pull his gun and everything.
They have enough
He's
time
in-
to get down here. He didn't have enough time to get
To get from the rooming house to 10th and Patton, we walked it in November.
Which I've seen it debunked, but I personally walked it twice.
Yeah, the timing's off.
As I said numerous times, I was there when they walked it, and they walked the wrong way, but not only the wrong way, but the wrong way of the wrong route. They not only walked the wrong route, but the wrong way of the wrong route. So no.
The timing from here to the TT, they're saying that's impossible too.
Like I say,
Yeah, they say all kinds of stuff, you know?
well, Butch Burroughs, okay, now in 1988, the man who killed Kennedy, you got Butch Burroughs saying, I sold him popcorn at 106, 107. Yeah. However, Warren Commission testimony, did you see him?
No, he didn't say that. He didn't say I sold him popcorn at 107. He said that when he entered was 107. It was when he heard the doors open, and that's when he entered, was 107. He said that 115 was when he sold him popcorn. I don't know why I pointed this out during our first debate in 2020, and, he's still confused about what Butch Burroughs said.
Yeah.
So 25 years later, all of a sudden, 24 years later, all of a sudden, now he remembers selling popcorn to him. But in 64, when he's testifying, a direct question, did you see him?
No.
It's a very direct question.
And like,
That's not the question. The question was, did you see him come in? And he correctly said, no. So I don't know. Everyone's saying, oh, he didn't see. He said he didn't see him. No, he didn't see him come in, which is true. So they're twisting that to saying, did you see him? No. The question wasn't, did you see him? It was, did you see him come in? And he correctly says, no, I didn't see him come in. How hard is it?
how I sold him popcorn at 107. Like, what, did you note the exact time you sold somebody?
Again, that's not what he said. He said that the man had to have come in around 107.
Popcorn? Do you normally do that when you're working the concession stand?
But listen to this though. If you choose to believe,
By the way, I've hung out with these guys. It's amazing. Let me tell you this. Listening to these people, it's amazing. They've already leaped over the bridge, and they've already leaped over the bridge, and they're on the island. Meaning that they all agree with each other, and they think that the case is solved. So it's very interesting, hearing what their conversations amongst themselves, amongst each other, what they talk about, since they already think that the case is closed. It's amazing. I'll tell you. One of them, one time, they were saying like, "Oh, I wonder where Oswald was going, when he was walking on 10th Street. Do you think, I wonder if he was going to go and finish off Walker. So it's like they don't even talk about the actual evidence anymore since they think the case is closed. They just say, come up with, think of like stuff that it's like everything's already settled, and like let's talk about all these other hypotheticals. Like, wonder where he was, going. Wonder if he was gonna finish off Officer Walker. I just always thought that was funny.
Girls in 1988, you're throwing away 11 people I just told you about.
Yeah.
Throw them all away. You're ignoring them because you want to believe which girls instead. These
No.
11 people who all describe.
No, we're not throwing away 11 people. Each person, each witness, each piece of evidence is independent.
Regardless of, there's 15 girls instead. These 11 people who all describe one person, regardless of, there's 15 people. 15 people who all describe.
15 people. No, there was 21 people total who saw the killer.
Do you want to get rid of all 15 of those people in favor of Killer Clemens? Why would you do that?
Because she's gonna support the conclusion you've already decided you're going to accept.
So, but
That's
you
what
don't-
you want
if
to
you approach it
believe,
with an open
you know?
mind, you got these 15
Yes, exactly. That's what I want to believe. That's what I want to believe. I just want to naturally believe that this was a conspiracy. What a lame argument.
said it was one guy, regardless if they said it was Mickey Mouse, it was one guy. So you can't dismiss 15 people just because you want to believe Mark Lane and the Killer Clemens, who says she saw two guys.
She might have seen two guys.
Absolutely not true. Let's do that again.
Mark Lane and the Killer Clemens, who says she saw two guys.
She might have seen two guys. It might have
It's
been.
very interesting. Like I think I mentioned this earlier. It's very interesting how Bill does not make these blanket arguments after our debates. After I've pretty much, I don't want to say the word schooled, but okay, I'll say it. Yeah, him in our two debates. So yeah, so I haven't gotten here yet on the scene when this. I hadn't gotten here yet. Whenever I hadn't gotten my foot in the door yet when this video was filmed. So yeah, just saying.
Scoggins and not Scoggins, sorry,
Calloway and Ginyard.
or Calloway and Ginyard, because Calloway grabbed Tippett's gun off the street and went off after them.
Oh well, that's cool. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, maybe the two people that Clemens saw was gosh, maybe it was just Scoggins and Calloway, because Calloway grabbed the gun, and maybe that was the guy that she saw. No, she saw the shooting happen. She saw it happen. She said I was sitting out here. I saw some shots. She's looking at the scene. So no, it's not a minute and a half later, 2 minutes later, when Calloway gets the gun and Scoggins is there. No, she's describing what happened. She's seeing the shooting. And plus, Calloway never waved to Scoggins never went across the street, and Calloway never waved to him, and then they ran off in separate directions. No. Which is what the two people who Mrs. Clemens saw did, so yeah. Other people have tried to say that it was was it Frank Cimino that Mrs. Clemens saw across the street? But that is literally impossible, because Cimino, who ran out of his house, he never said anything about seeing the gunman, much less the gunman waving to him, the gunman running away from the scene, and then guess what? He himself running away from the scene. Jesus, I mean, that is perhaps the most desperate nonsense I've ever heard in my life. So just the things that these little nutters have to keep inventing is crazy. And I'm so glad I'm exposing this. I'm so glad.
He said he went to the body.
Someone has to do it.
On the revolver, he grabbed the revolver and set up on top of the hood. And then Calloway, a former Marine, he actually went and got Scoggins, the cab driver,
Who's-
the revolver and set up
Off after them.
Got up there. He said he went to the body.
Calloway grabbed Tippett's gun off
who
the street
talking about?
and went off after them.
Got up there. He said he went to the body.
Oh.
He actually went and got Scoggins. The cab driver said, hey, let's go get this son of a bitch. They grabbed Tippit's service revolver, jump in the cab, and start driving around looking for him. They come to a police car about 3 blocks down over here and said, hey, we're looking. They said, get your ass back to the scene now. So they go back.
Who were their officers?
I don't know. But Calloway said, I don't know from the officer's end how that went down, but this is Calloway talking. We were directly ordered to get back to the scene. So we go back, and here Calloway gets out of the cab. Hey, I got the cop's pistol here. Give me that fucking pistol. Let me see your driver's license. Ron Reeland's film of the whole wallet thing. I think it was them looking at Calloway's wallet.
No, absolutely. Calloway was asked the specific question, did anyone look at your wallet? He said, no. No one looked at my wallet. I just said, here you go. So it wasn't this whole dramatic thing. Give me the thing. No, it wasn't at all. Calloway said, here you walked. Calloway said, in his own words, he walked up and said, here you go. Handed the cops the gun, and that's it. So no, that's more desperate nonsense trying to explain. Oh, maybe it was Calloway's wallet. No, Calloway was asked about that. He said, no, it was not. Excuses.
Hey, I got the cop's pistol here. Give me that fucking pistol. Let me see your driver's
Give me the fucking pistol.
Gets out of the cab. Hey, I got the cop's pistol here. Give me that fucking pistol. Let me see your driver's license. Ron Reeland's film of the whole wallet thing. I think it was them looking at Calloway's wallet and the service revolver.
I tried to get down.
That's just my opinion. I could be well. You seen
Everyone's like, yeah. Oh my gosh.
film
Oh my gosh.
where they're looking through the wallet? See, I mean, when it comes to this, all you got to do is try. You can only speculate at this point, whose wallet that was. It's not Oswald's. I don't think. And Bob Barrett, by the way, is the FBI agent.
Yes, it's not Oswald's, except that Oswald's ID, 2 IDs, Heidel and Oswald are in there, and 3 officials at the scene said it was. And then, of course, there's the other Oswald Heidel wallet that's on Oswald. But yeah, of course, it's not Oswald's. Of course it's not.
He said on whose wallet that was. It's not Oswald's. I don't think.
Of course it's
Bob
not.
Barrett, by the way, is the FBI agent. He said on the scene, he was asked by one of the officers, hey, do you know an Oswald or a Heidel?
Exactly.
Bob Barrett actually says that he was asked that right here at TIPPIT Patent, which would mean that the wallet was Oswald.
Yeah.
If you believe that Barrett's simply not mistaken. There's no report from any police officer
But
ever
they had-
saying that Oswald
As I've said before, Barrett explained why he didn't put it in his report.
was mentioned at TIPPIT
But
Patent.
Bentley and Gill said there's Oswald's on this person.
They took it from him in the car on the way to the...
There was another. That's the thing. They're trying to put 2 wallets together. No, they're 2 wallets. 2 Oswald Heidel wallets. One at the scene, and one in his pants pocket. 2 of them.
So that's not his here.
Unless Oswald's carrying 2 wallets.
And Barrett was down there.
Well, see, I think Barrett's probably thinking of back at headquarters.
That could be
When they're
too.
looking at the Oswald's wallet and they see the Heidel identification. And
I've
they see
debunked
that
this
he-
before. No, but maybe Barrett's misremembering where he was shown the wallet. Maybe he was shown it in Westbrook's office. No, he said the only time. Barrett said no. The only time I talked to Westbrook was at the murder scene. He was in his office later, but he wasn't in his office. Westbrook wasn't in the office. A lot of officers were going in and out of the office. It's but no. I mean, he's right there. He's right there. How can you mistake outside, green trees around you, and you're remembering that you're being shown a wallet at the scene, and then conflate that and have a false memory that you're in an air-conditioned office downtown, and that was when you were shown the wallet? No, it just makes no sense. No, he was asked about that. Barrett was asked about that. Well, maybe you're mistaken about where he said no. I was right there at the scene.
Years later is confused because Barrett swears that he was asked right here at TIPPIT Patent about the Oswald name and the Heidel name.
The only reason why someone would not believe Barrett is because they have an agenda to a lone nut agenda, and they can't explain this, so they just said, "Oh, he's just mistaken." God, it just must be amazing to just freely be able to do that with any witness that you don't like. I would never do that because I'm honest. I don't do that. I would never say, just mistaken. No. The only thing I've ever said that someone was mistaken on was Barbara Davis, because she was the only one who said that the killer wore a dark jacket, but all the other witnesses said that the killer wore a light jacket. So that's the one exception where someone's misremembering. But but I've never wiped away a witness with just wrong, just misremembering it. I would never do that.
And Ferris Rook still wants to believe him.
Yeah.
Therefore, that's Oswald's wallet that he dropped.
But listen to the important part. There's not one. You guys won't be able to find it. There's not one single police report of anybody stating that the name Oswald or Hurdell was mentioned in Timothy Patton.
It doesn't. So what? That doesn't mean anything. That really doesn't mean anything. And again, Barrett explained why there wasn't a report on it. He explained why.
And Barrett himself never makes that either until they order it
On his first PlayStation, Hill talks about that. In his testimony about Oswald and Hurdell in the same wall.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Have you noticed the pattern with low notice, just excuse after excuse? Well, maybe this happened. Excuse after excuse. They're constantly making up excuses. That would never hold up if this thing actually went to trial. Excuse. Everything would be laid on the table, and it would be obvious. It would be obvious what the truth is, not clear cut, as low nutters try to frame it. Not at all.
You see if he's got an ID.
Yeah.
So Bentley reaches over and pulls it out of Oswald's back pocket. And that's when Bentley's on. He gets interviewed on the news later and says, "Yeah, there was driver's license, credit cards, things like that."
Yeah.
So conspiracy theorists want to take him liberal with that. And I think Bentley was just speaking in general terms because Oswald did not have.
He's just speaking in general. Oh yeah, that's good. Just speaking in general again. More excuses. He's just speaking in general terms. He says a fact based on what he saw and held in his hands. Oh yeah, he's just speaking in general terms. Oh, that's just a figure of speech. Oh, he's just probably misremembering. Oh, he's just wrong. He's mistaken. That's low nutters for you. All I do is point out what the facts are, what so and so said, what such and such says, and you follow the evidence where it leads. This epistemology is absolutely horrible.
So Bentley kind of gets us in trouble from the low nut side when he says, "Oh, you grabbed his wallet, opened it up, and he had driver's license, credit card." You can watch the interview with Bentley on. With Bentley on TV. He's got his crutches because he got his ankle hurt in the scuffle in the theater.
How long after the
that was Ron Reeland was on the scene probably about 15 minutes after the shooting because a lot of the people left Dealey Plaza and came down to Oak Cliff. So Reeland first was riding around with the officers.
That's how you pronounce it.
And was filming
Not Oak Cliff.
Whatever police officer he was with him
Oak
was
Cliff. But it's okay. And that's just something I get onto. I kind of shoulder nudge people about sometimes because they don't live here, so they mispronounce. They mispronounce the name of it, but it's whatever.
Could tell you exactly what time that was, though. I have to do some
Like some people also say Parkland. No, it's Parkland. Parkland.
The other thing about Bush Burroughs, he says 107, right? How is Oswald, if he can't make it to 10th and Patton in time, how's he going to make it to a place that's further
He
away?
got a ride to meet his handler.
Uh.
So that's the thing.
It is really sloppy conspiracy you guys got going here.
Yeah, so he can get to Red Road.
No, it's very simple. Someone picks Oswald up at the curb and drives a straight line, less than 3 minutes. 2 minutes, really, to the Texas Theater. Lets him off at the curb on Jefferson. He just goes to the Texas Theater. It's not that hard at all. How is that sloppy? It's not sloppy. It's clear cut. Wait outside for someone to pick you up. You drive in a straight line to somewhere else. That's not sloppy, bro.
If you want to argue, he could have got a ride from Beckley to the theater.
But Benny says...
But from who?
It's very interesting for them to say, he could have gotten a ride. That is code for the timetable doesn't work. If the low nutters have to throw that out, well, maybe he got a ride from a passerby, maybe he hitchhiked part of the way. No. That's them admitting, without saying it, that the timetable doesn't work.
And why would you want to?
Why would they even let him get the Beckley on a bus and a cab in the first place?
Why would you want to bring more people into that conspiracy? Like, now you have another loose end you have to worry about, the guy who drove him to the theater.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you're conspirators, are you letting Oswald be on foot walking around?
Armed?
Aren't you going to give Oswald a ride to the theater to meet his handler from the depository?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Was like, wouldn't you make sure he was at the depository to begin with in the morning? Like, are you going to rely on his coworker giving him a ride? Yeah, or what if his car broke down or something, you know? It's when you start to unpack it and you think, okay, like, how would you actually plan this in real life if this were actually a real thing that occurred? That's when it immediately becomes obvious. This is too complicated. There's too many moving parts.
No, it's not complicated. It's very simple. It is very simple to get 3 people to shoot in Dealey Plaza. 3 gunmen to shoot. And to have someone pick up Oswald at his house and take him to the Texas Theater. It's not... How is that hard? It's not hard at all. See this framing that's going on? This framing is wrong.
Machine, you
What
know?
if no one needed to go to the restroom where 399 was discovered?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is the whole conspiracy relying on someone to have to go to the restroom?
Yeah. It relies on Thomas finding that bullet on the stretcher. What if
Just another talking about Parkland and the bullet. That's a whole other thing.
That bullet, Thomas found that bullet at a point in time when conspirators could not.
That whole thing was ripped to shreds in the Oliver Stone's new documentary. So, except for the part about the Elmer Todd's initials. That's nothing. So, you still have all the people who can't identify it and everything else. How it was a different kind of bullet. It was a pointed bullet and everything. And there were more bullets found on stretchers. So again, this is just the framing of this is wrong.
Yep. The whole entire bullet inside Kennedy's body still.
Yep.
They would have
Thinking that the bullet is still, he thought it was still in College
shot
Lake.
in the fight. He even made a report about it. Yeah, he made a report about
What
it.
if some little kid saw it, took it as a souvenir?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Frank's getting a picture of us.
Now, guys, regarding the shell cases, I don't really know what.
By the way, that guy in the red shirt owns the
I know.
Mrs.
Well,
Payne's
two of the,
car
two of
that
the
she
shell
had.
casings were found in the front yard. Okay, right away by Benavides.
Well-
Benavides said, I noticed that I saw him throw the shells down, but I noticed nobody was picking them up, so I went over to him.
Somebody put him in a cigarette pack.
That was Benavides.
Yeah.
And he gave him the Poe, which are the 2 shells that did Poe mark him and did not mark him. Okay, the Poe showed him to Hill. Hill, realizes that the shells were found at the scene, assumes then that, well, they must have been automatic. Because what killer's going to stand there and eject it after shooting somebody?
Yeah.
It's kind of got to be automatic. So
Poe said, I put my mark. And Sergeant Hill said, I looked on the bottom of the shell. That's all. That's all you need to know.
that's when he makes the dispatch report. Suspects are on the
But
body.
it's kind of a dumb on his part. You're such an experienced cop.
He was a
All you
sergeant.
got to do is
He was
look
a
at the
sergeant.
shell and tell
He
it
didn't,
ain't
but
automatic.
that's it. He didn't.
Right?
He didn't look
Yeah.
at the shells. He didn't look at the bottom.
Was there a report that went
Oh
out?
my God! He said he didn't look at the bottom. Yes, he did. I just told you. Listen to that again.
He didn't.
Right?
He didn't look
Yeah.
at the shells. He didn't look at the bottom.
Yes, he did. He said, "quote I looked at the bottom." That's a direct quote from his favorite book too. I looked on the bottom, and what's stamped on the bottom? 38 auto. And there's no mistaking a shorter shell, which is an automatic shell. It's shorter, much shorter than a 38 revolver shell. Any cop cannot mistake that. And not only that, not only did he see it, but he looked on the bottom. Not only did he look on the bottom, he went on the radio. He acted upon it. Went on the radio and said, automatic. Now, where did that automatic shell go? Who knows? It disappeared. Could it have just been laying around from unrelated to the crime? Absolutely. But that's still a problem that exists, and it won't go away.
That went out when they saw the shit. Like, when you see that, you assume that there's automatic, not all in one spot.
Yeah, see, the thing
Or
is,
even on the ground.
well, if they would have been an automatic, they would have been found by the patrol car.
Right.
Obviously, you know, shoot, the shells are getting ejected and found on the ground.
Unless there's multiple shooters, as probably Joe would suggest.
But an automatic shell and a pistol shell, a revolver shell, completely different.
Exactly. Said from a cop right here. They're completely different. There we go. There's no exactly what I said. Completely different. Completely different. Thank you. He's a lone nutter, by the way. Thank you for saying what I just said.
Gerald Hill didn't look at him to that degree. He knows. Therefore, he's like, okay, shells found at the scene. Automatic.
Yes,
I mean,
he
in
did
all
look.
fairness-
Yes, he looked. He says I looked on the bottom. I looked on the bottom, and again, just like this guy said over here, just like Frank said over here, there's no mistaking it. They're completely different. How hard is it, folks?
Most of the time when you recover shells from the scene, it is because they're automatic.
Yeah, what you say, 95% of the time, that means it's automatic.
I'd say
Yeah,
higher than that.
Suspects don't empty their gun of shells right on
Yeah,
the scene.
here, let me just leave some more breadcrumbs for them to follow, you know?
They're saying that flippantly, but yeah, hey, let me dump my shell casings by the body here, or not by the body, let me dump my shell casings here, so that they can be traced back to me, it totally makes sense.
It's very easy.
Yeah, you look at the mark, the
Very
stamp
easy.
on
You
the
pick it up and
primer.
You'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know. I mean, it's very,
But, like,
very distinctive.
The person who said that,
He just said it's very, very distinctive. Yeah, I agree. Okay, thank you. I love this. He's making my case. Thank you.
didn't pick them up. They didn't examine it. They just saw it for a second inside of a cigarette pack. And
No. Again, Gerald Hill said I looked on the bottom.
assumed because there are shells at all, they're automatic.
That's right. Well, so we have to accept that it was a mistake rather than a nefarious.
Yeah.
No, once again, it's just a mistake. It's just a mistake, even though you looked on the bottom and it's obviously what you can obviously tell by one glance at what kind of shell it is, just based on all that evidence, and he acted upon it. Yeah, but yeah, based on all that evidence, he's still mistaken. He's just mistaken. Pitiful.
You know what? As strange as it might sound, in real life, mistakes happen every day. They happen all the time.
Yeah, but we have evidence that says X is what happened, and Y is what happened, X is what happened, Y is what happened.
No, nobody is.
So you agree, though, that shells found at the scene?
Usually, yeah.
Joe made that assumption, and he was wrong. And he'll even admit his mistake later.
It's not an unreasonable assumption.
No,
It's not.
it's
I
not.
agree with that. Yeah. So those two shells, Poe has them. He's asking Lavelle, who was on the scene now, what are you gonna do with these? Lavelle says, I don't want them. I don't want to clog up
Be involved in the chain.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So just hold on to him. Give him the crime lab when he gets here.
Right.
So when Sergeant Pete Barnes got here, he was from the crime lab. He's dusting the door for prints. Poe walks over and gives them to him, but he never did mark them at the scene. Okay. Poe testifies. I could swear I
Says
marked
he
them, but I
did
can't
it,
find my.
Poe said, he says to this day that he marked them.
So here's the thing, though. So even if you take those two shells out, because the chain of possession was kind of shaky, which
I've talked about this so many times. Why the hell am I talking about this again? It's almost 3:40 in the morning. Well, what the hell am I doing here?
not. Okay, so let's take them out. While the police were still here, Barbara Davis finds a shell. Now this is the third shell. She turns the shell over immediately to the police while they're still here on the scene. Now this happened about half an hour after Benavides turned his in. And then the police wrap their thing up, they're done. Later that afternoon, Virginia Davis finds another shell, fourth shell. So she calls the police and says, hey, I found it. So Doherty comes out and picks it up from her. Now Doherty testified, and Doty also testified. Doty from Barbara Davis, Doherty from Virginia Davis. The shell in evidence is the shell I collected from the Davis girl. And then the other one, yeah, this shell in evidence is 3 or 4 hours before he left. I went back.
I wasn't listening. Hold on.
Virginia Davis, the shell in evidence is the shell I collected from it up from her.
Let's
Now,
go back.
Doherty testified, and Doty also testified. Doty from Barbara Davis. Doherty
No, they did not testify before the commission.
showing evidence is the shell I collected. But Davis finds another shell, a fourth shell. So she calls the police and says, hey, I found it. So Doherty comes out and picks it up from her. Now, Doherty testified, and Doty also testified. Doty from Barbara Davis, Doherty from Virginia Davis. The shell in evidence is the shell I collected from the Davis girl. And then the other one, yeah, this shell in evidence is 3 or 4 hours before he left. I went back
The Davis sisters cannot identify the shells, and Barnes' initials are not on there, and Doherty's initials are not on there either. There is a capital G D, a capital G apparently for George Doty, who we are told marked the third shell, but the problem is that we don't know when he allegedly marked it. Who knows? He probably marked it later, but we just don't know. It's all just a bunch of hearsay.
Now, chain of possession starts when it gets in the hands of the police. Am I wrong about that? Am I right? Chain of possession starts when it's turned over by the witness to the police. Is that correct? Yeah, okay. That's correct. So there's no chain of possession problem with either of the Virginia Davis and the Barbara Davis. There's no chain of possession problem.
Okay, so it goes from the scene. Okay, so it goes from the scene, and where does it go? Where does it go after that? Where does it go? Does it go into the evidence room? Does it go on a shelf? Does it go in a footlocker? Where does it go? There is no chain of custody on anything. We know it was collected by the police. We know it was eventually sent to the FBI and such, but what's the chain of custody? Who did it go from after the crime scene? When it was taken to the lab, who did it go to? See, we don't know. There is no chain of custody. There is no chain of custody.
Even if you want to argue the chain of possession issue with both shells, right? And all 4 of those shells, as you guys know,
As Dr. Henry Lee said, it becomes inadmissible.
Oh, the engravings match. Yeah.
Yep. The hammer strikes, they match.
Yeah. Nickel, Cunningham, Fraser. And
Once they did the ballistics on the shells, all 4 match.
and Nickel,
The shells that are there now match.
even with the FBI, if you want to think the FBI is in
It's super obvious they were switched.
Yeah, Illinois Identification Bureau.
They got them independent.
Right. So, and all 4 of them said that all 4 of these shells were fired from that revolver that was taken from Oswald to the exclusion of any other weapon.
We don't know when they were fired in that gun. We don't. All those
So if
problems.
you're a conspiracy theorist and you don't want those shells to be involved, how do you do that? You already have shells that came independent from the previous ones that matched the gun. So how do you fix that if you're a conspiracy theorist that you don't want that to be the case?
I would challenge the chain of custody, which is, I guess, what they do with the 2 post shells, and say that they were plant.
Yeah. It doesn't tell us. All this proves that the shells were fired in that gun at some point. It doesn't tell us when the bullet was fired. It doesn't tell us where the bullet was fired, who fired the bullet, how the casing was discovered, or like I said, the chain of custody for the casing. So, and there's so many problems that I've listed until the cows come home with all these shells that it's obvious that they were switched. So, at this point, I'm just repeating myself.
So they would have to be fired at another
Oswald's
time.
revolver and then planted later.
Yeah.
Did he just ask him, what would the argument that a critic would make? You know what? If you don't know the answer, if you don't know what my answer would be, then you haven't even begun to study this, to study what you claim to know about. He said, how do critics challenge this? And he says, oh, well, I guess they would do this and this. Wow. If you don't know how your opponent would criticize it, or what your opponent thinks about this, then you haven't even begun to study what you claim to be an expert on.
Not to mention the 2 Davis shells. Well, we don't know those came because of the TIPPIT shooting. They were found later in the afternoon.
Now, with us, all I can speak from is from 76. We are not required to mark evidence.
So you guys have to take a knife and
If I pick
I
up
never heard of
evidence,
that. Until I started studying.
Yeah, outside of the context of the Tippit shooting, I have never heard of that ever being done. Ever.
Jim Lavelle threw a giant curveball in the case. He said, no one marked the shells. No one marked the shells. But what about no one marked the shells. The shells were never marked. Oh wow, that's cool. So if we scrub our minds, if we just scrub our minds completely and now accept the fact that no one marked the shells, then who in the hell forged the initials that are on there now. It just doesn't make sense. It just
So
I guess they practiced that.
maybe that's how they did it in Dallas back in those days.
But to mark a shell?
Yeah, I mean, any kind of little evidence, we don't mark evidence.
And I mean, it would mess with
and
the
that would
evidence.
nullify the case. I mean, there you go. If Jim Lavelle said, "Hey, no one marked it," then there's even more no chain of custody or evidence. No one marked them. These could be any shells. Wow. Again, this is if we go by Jim Lavelle's curveball that he threw later in life. But it's obvious that he just said that to try and dismiss. It's obvious that he threw that curveball. That he just said that because of to dismiss the, as he called it, quote, little problem with the ballistics evidence, which is an understatement, by the way. That's what he called it. It's a little problem. The Warren Commission said it was a slight problem. We have a slight problem with the ballistics. So that's all I need. That's all you need to know about the ballistics, by the way. As I said in another live stream, that's all you need to know. Those two quotes. The lead detective said, "We have a little problem with the ballistics." The Warren Commission said on the record, "Oh, there's a slight problem with the ballistics." Hey, that's cool. That's all you need to know, man. That's all you need to know, bro.
He was shot and they took him to the hospital. Lavelle had they cut him with a scalpel, got the bullet right out because it was against the skin on the backside. And Lavelle actually had the nurse and Lavelle threw his pocket and found.
Notice he did mention that the bullets don't match the gun.
Right there on the bullet.
That's unheard of today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how the hell? I mean, how the hell you scrape your initials?
I don't know.
On something that's like that big, you know?
Pocket knife doesn't give it a
Doesn't
pocket.
matter how do you do it. They did it. They did it. And by the way, Jim Lavelle's belated curveball, as I just said a few moments ago. He said, "Oh, we never marked things. You know, no one marked them." And if you like 20 minutes later, when he gets to getting the bullet from Oswald's abdomen, what does he say he did? "Oh, I told the nurse, you and me have to." I'm sorry. I knew Jim Lavelle, so I shouldn't imitate him. I'm sorry, Jim. What did he do? He carved his initial in the bullet that came out of Oswald's abdomen, and he told a nurse to put her initials. So that's a fib that he told. "Oh, we never marked the shells, and no one marked the shells." But what did he do on Sunday? Oh, he marked the shells. Yeah. So, again, fibs along the way to try and discredit. Try to fix the, as he called it, little problem with the ballistics.
He said he described to us how sharp it was, and he says he still hasn't got that knife back to this day because he admitted the knife had evidence along with the bullet. He's never got it back. He said to this day, I never got that knife back.
All right, you guys want to get back to Frida? She's probably wondering where the hell we are.
Oh, that's cool. Wow, I can't believe this went on for an hour and 49 minutes. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, this is another reaction video live stream that I did. All right. Y'all have a good night. It is 3:49 in the morning. You be well. Be well. God bless.